At this point in planning, our trip to Japan lasts 18 days and includes travel to Tokyo, Osaka, the Kumano Trek, various places on Shikoku, Kinosaki, and then Kyoto. For the most part, we will use public transportation, but while on Shikoku, a rental car will provide the most flexibility. We plan to buy new luggage that will be appropriately sized so that we will not run into problems with any of the air or rail carriers. We'll also each get a Suica IC card and put 5,000 yen on each for convenience when traveling around. We'll also need to exchange some US dollars to yen, but it's not clear yet how much yen we should be carrying with us. I suspect that having cash is more of an issue in rural Japan than in the cities, though I understand that many of the small restaurants in cities are cash only. We fly from Seattle so that we can leave our dog Georgie with Wendy's son Lance, who lives there. It seems like flights into Tokyo from Seattle arrive late in the afternoon, so we'll plan to go straight to the hotel in Shinjuku and just relax for the evening. The next day will be a recovery day. We'll head south to Shibuya on the Fukotoshin line and eat breakfast at a Happy Pancake. From there, we'll walk north by the Scramble Crosswalk and the Shibuya Sky. I'm not sure if we'll pay the 5,000 yen to go to the top of Shibuya Sky for the skyline view. I guess we'll just have to see. It sounds like prepaid reservations are typically a good idea, so we'll need to talk about that as we craft our trip. We'll continue our journey north to Takeshita Street and then visit the nearby Meiji Jingu Goyen and the Shinjuku Goyen National Gardens. We'll be relaxing, just hanging out there, maybe on some park benches for a bit. And eventually we'll make it to Omoyede Yokochu for some lunch and street food and pass by the iconic Shinjuku Space and Godzilla Head attractions while in that area. From there, we'll take the Four Seasons pathway en route to the Shinjuku Golden Gai and finally arrive back at the hotel. The next day, we'll leave Tokyo Station on the Tokaido Shinkansen for Shin Osaka Station. I'd like to take a green car for the more comfortable experience. It's not that much more, and so it'd be fun to do that. We'll stock up on some bento boxes at the station before we leave. It's about a 3-hour trip to Osaka, and considering the additional time getting to and from the stations, we'll probably just head straight to the hotel in Osaka upon arrival, and from there just chill around the hotel area. The next day we'll explore Osaka Castle and then take a Japan Rail train south to visit the Kenrikuen Gardens, the Zengaku Tower, and the Shinsekai Market, maybe for lunch. We'll turn north and visit the Hozenji Yokocho and visit the famous Dotonbori, where we'll have dinner before returning to the hotel. We leave Osaka at the Tennonoji Station on a Japan Rail Kushiro 3 train and then arrive at Kii Tanabe Station in Tanabe, Wakayama, 2.5 hours later. Our Kumanokoto trek starts here, so one of the first things we'll have to do in Tanabe is arrange for our luggage to get delivered to a guest house since we'll not be taking it on the trek with us. This will have to be prearranged. The map markers here basically delineate the trek. Lots of information is available about the trek, and shown here are some typical sections, each colored uniquely on the map and corresponding relief profile to help individuals prepare their own journey. We'll take a bus to the trailhead where the information center is located, and after checking in, we'll start the trek. That first day is just 2.4 miles to Takahara, our first overnight stay. That initial day is a relentless climb, equivalent to climbing Mount Pisgah, but steeper. Apparently the Japanese do not believe in switchbacks. We stay at a place called the Hoshizora no Yado, an inn run by a plum farmer in the Takahara area. A spectacular location with panoramic views of the mountains. The proprietor will provide dinner that evening and breakfast the next morning and pack us a lunch as well. We leave Takahara for Shikatsuru, almost 6 miles away. This section is like climbing Mount Pisgah twice in the first 3 miles. And then you start walking downhill into Shikatsuru. We hope our luggage will be waiting for us from Tanabe City at the accommodations we will have reserved months in advance. This next section is typically a long day for most trekkers. It's about 14 miles to the next destination. People seem to average about 1 mile per hour, so it's a long day of hiking, and it's important to get to your destination in time for the dinner they serve. This section of the Kumano Kodo is like a sawtooth ridge where we would be climbing Mount Pisgah again about 3 times in the 14 miles length. Though we'd be wearing a small pack, we're concerned that such a long day could undermine our well-being for the days that followed it. So our plan at this point is to walk our post-mid-60s bodies about 4 miles from our accommodation to a bus stop where we would then get transported to another stop on the other side of the route. That would enable us to walk the remaining 2.3 miles of the section and feel somewhat good about saying we walked the Kumano Kodo. We check into our accommodations for the night, another farmhouse. We might have had our luggage sent to this location or perhaps to the next location. We're still unsure about that right now. On day 4, we walked from Fushiogami to the famed Yunomine onsen area. Now, along the trek, we will have encountered numerous ojis, the small structures with various honorary significance, but today we visit Kumano Hongu Taisha, a major shrine and one of the Kumano Kodo hallmarks. In the same vicinity is Hongo Oyonohara Tori, the largest otori in Japan. From here we continue our walk to Tsuboyu Yunomine Onsen, which dates back to the 1300s and is a World Heritage Site. We'll spend the night at Ryokan Adumeya. We leave Tsuboyu and end the day in Katsura by way of the famous riverboat trip down the Kumano River to the coastal town of Shingu. There we will visit the Kamikura Shrine and then bus to the Kumano Nachi Taisha, another hallmark of the Kumano Kodo trek. Once we have completed our sightseeing there, we will bus back to Katsura and stay at the Katsura Sunrise Inn located on the waterfront of Nachi Bay. We leave Katsura on a Japan Rail train for Wakayama to the north. Once we're in that city, we'll get on local transportation to the port when we then take the Nankai ferry across the bay to Shikoku. We will either get a rental car once we arrive and then head to our hotel, or we will wait for the next day before renting a car. Otherwise, we'll just relax and explore the area around the hotel. After breakfast, we will drive 45 minutes east to a studio where we will learn to do traditional indigo fabric dyeing. We will have scheduled with the artist an arrival time, and we should both leave a couple hours later with a fully dyed and dried bag, scarf, noren, or a t-shirt as a memento of the experience. From there, we continue the eastward drive until we head south into the Iya Valley. Our first stop in the valley is to an observation deck with a beautiful view of the Yoshino River. Further along the road, we'll come to a launch site of the Iya Valley boat cruise, which we may or may not do. Continuing on a bit further is a turnoff to the so-called Waterfall Babies. We might drive there or just continue on to the Akanoya Hotel and then walk back to the Waterfall Babies. On day 3, we'll turn off the main road and head to the famous Vine Bridge. However, we'll make a stop at a local museum of folklore along the way, which is contained in the original house of the local clan and was built in 1867. The bridge spans a canyon in the secluded mountain village and is associated with the Hieke clan, once apparently the most ruling clan in this area. At that time, the bridge, which was built with kiwi vines, was the only way to cross over these deep canyons, and it was easy to cut in case enemy was in pursuit. At some point, we'll hop back into the car and head south, leaving the Iya Valley for the city of Kochi along the southern coast of Shikoku, an hour drive away. We'll check into the hotel, get a bit settled, and then head out to explore. Close by is Kochi Castle, which is a 5-story structure built in 1603. After spending some time there, we'll head to the Obiyamachi, a popular shopping and cultural area, and we should be able to eat there. Afterwards, it's back to the hotel unless we want to wander some more. The next day, we return the rental car near Kochi Airport and then board a plane for a 45-minute flight back to Osaka. From Osaka Airport, we'll take the rail to go to Kobe Sano Miya Station, and from there a short ride to Shinkobe Station. From Shinkobe Station, we'll walk a short distance to the Takanaka Carpentry Museum, which is well known to anyone who is drawn to Japanese woodworking, as am I. We'll spend as much time there as we can before going back to Shinkobe Station to board a JR train that will take us north on a 2.5-hour ride to Kinosaki. Upon arrival, we'll walk to our hotel and then prepare to walk around this sweet town and take advantage of the many onsens that make this town famous. When we are thoroughly onsened out and done seeing the sights and eating the great food, we'll return to our hotel. The next day finds us back on a Japan rail train on a 3-hour trip from Kinosaki to Saga Arashiyama Station on the west side of Kyoto. From there, we will make our way to the Hotel Arashiyama, where we will stay for this first night. After getting settled in, we will venture off to explore on foot this part of Kyoto, which includes nice parks, a bamboo forest, lots of little markets, and cultural attractions, including a kimono forest. Eventually, we'll make our way to this little place for dinner before heading across the river back to our hotel. On day 2, I hope to connect with a Japanese carpenter I have been following on the internet for several years now. He runs a school, and I have taken some online classes with him. His school offers tours of some historical Kyoto tea houses, focusing on the architecture and carpentry techniques used to build these structures. We will have to coordinate our schedules, but I'm hoping we can do this first thing on day 2. After the tour, which I believe is just a couple hours, we'll make our way to our next hotel in central Kyoto. After we check in, we'll start to explore the area east of our hotel, which includes many of the iconic attractions of the city. And no doubt we'll find delicious food along the way as we walk back to the hotel. On day 3 in Kyoto, we'll head north from our hotel into the historic Gion district, which has some new restrictions regarding tourist access, but we'll just do what we can. There's just so much to see. I'm hoping that we can come to this place for dinner. We'll see. It's kind of hard to get in, I believe. We arrive in Kamakura at Kamakura Station in the heart of the city. The trip from Kyoto is several hours by train, so my guess is that we would be arriving somewhere around noon, having had to check out of the hotel in Kyoto, eat breakfast, get to the train station, and then board for the trip. There are 2 places to stay north of Kamakura Station, the Villa Sakara and the Kamakura Saizen. According to the village, or maybe it's Sakura website, it's a guest house about 3 minutes from the station, built by the Wandering Kitchen Project, which they advertise as being a lifestyle brand that provides things and places to make life in the Shonan area more enjoyable, mainly in Kamakura. They apparently renovated an 80-year-old house with the participation of 4 cutting-edge artists, a contemporary artist, a stamp artist, not sure what that is, a painter, and a photographer. And it's apparently become a rare artist hotel in Japan. They have partnered with a local restaurant to provide breakfast, but there are also numerous other options in the neighborhood which all look good. The cost is about 7,000 yen per person per night, or about $90 US per night for the 2 of us. The Kamakura Saizen, which is the other place, is a more traditional hotel, although upscale. According to their website, early booking gets us a room for about 12,000 yen per person, or about 150 US dollars for the 2 of us. per night. South of the Kamakura station is the Tosai Hotel Kakone, which is a nice looking place similar to the Kamakura Saizen as an upscale modern hotel, but it definitely has a Japanese flair. Booking.com lists room prices from $150 to $250 per night for 2 persons. Regardless of which place we select to stay, I see the Kamakura visit being a 2-night trip. One day exploring the northern city, and the next full day some of the southern attractions, including the waterfront. We arrive and check into our hotel of choice. Let's just say it's the Villa. Having been on a train for 3 hours, it might seem like a hard sell to go get on another railway right off, but a 3-minute ride north to Kita Katsura Station puts us into the heart of the northern locations, which I feel is the part of the city to explore this first half day. From Kita Katsura Station, we start our walking tour. There are sites both to the west and the east of the rail line, but since most are to the east, I think we head that way initially, starting from the northernmost site and then working our way south. The first Buddhist temple we go to is the Engaiku-ji Sharaiden, founded in 1282. From the train station, it seems like a really lovely walk up to the temple. Next, we head south to the Maigetsuen Buddhist temple, founded in 1160. It's also known as the Hydrangea Temple because hydrangeas bloom during the rainy season around June. Most of them are of the Princess Hydrangea variety, which is the blue color we're accustomed to. In the back of the temple grounds, there's a main hall, and that building features a really nice circular window which frames the scenery of the inner garden behind it. That inner garden is known for its irises and is open to visitors only during 2 periods of about 2 weeks per year. In June, when the irises are in bloom, and then late November, early December, when the autumn colors are at their best. There's an additional admission fee, but I'm not even sure it's going to be open for us when we are there. Continuing south, we come upon Kensho Zenji, which is the first temple in Japan to be called a Zen temple. It's a specialized training center dedicated to the Chinese Song Dynasty style of the Rinzai Zen Buddhism. The founder came to Japan in 1246. He is thought to have been around 40 when he entered the temple. He introduced Chinese Song Dynasty Zen style, and there were over 100 trainee monks that studied under him. And his strict training style is documented in the rules of the Dharma language, which he had written himself. The temple became a very vibrant temple, made Kamakura a well-known place, and is considered the birthplace of Zen Buddhism and the launching point of the Zen culture. At its peak, Kenjoji Temple had about 1,000 monks, a vast temple lands, over 100 branch temples, and 49 sub-temples. The temple suffered repeated disasters, though, throughout its long history, with a lot of its old buildings having burned down. Moving westward now, we come to the Kamagayatsu Zaka, which is a walkway that was part of a mountain pass. And these mountain passes, Kamakura, it has several mountain passes that end at Kamakura. And this particular walkway has been dedicated or declared as a national landmark. And it connects Kamakura with the northern Kita Kamakura. We'll now head west and cross the tracks. First up is the Joji Temple, which was founded in 1281. At the time, many monks had come from China, and at its peak, the temple had 7 buildings and 11 sub-temples. The bell tower gate and the main hall display the Chinese style at the time known as the Song style. The site contains numerous protected natural cultural artifacts, including the principal image of the wooden seated statue of the Three Worlds Buddha. And other artifacts are kept in the Kamakura National Treasure Museum. This site is also designated as a National Historic Site. Continuing on, then, we go to the Tokeji Temple, founded in 1285 during what's called the Kamakura period. It was a feudal era, and during that time, women were not allowed to divorce. So this place became a place of refuge for women who could actually seek divorce. And this continued on for 600 years until the Meiji era. In 1871, the temple law enabling divorce was abolished due to an anti-Buddhist movement at that time. And in 1902, the nunnery came to a complete end. In 1905, a Zen Buddhist master arrived and restored what was the dilapidated temple. And because of his vision, many of the local politicians and business people, philosophers, cultural people became his disciple. In the past, the temple was off limits to men, but of course now it is open to all worshippers. If we have time, we could do the 30-minute walk to the Kamakura Central Park. We could burn up a lot of time here just walking around, so we'll have to pay attention to that if we even have time to go there at all, because we do have to consider the return time and getting to the train and the train station schedules and whatnot. So from here, then, we will return to Kamakura Station and then find a place to have dinner after we freshen up, probably at the hotel. On day 2, I was thinking it would be fun to rent a bike and do the day on bike. There are lots of nearby bike rental shops. So I was thinking we could walk to the Garden House for breakfast and then wander over to one of the bike shops and start our sightseeing day. First up after breakfast would be the Kotokuin, the famous Buddha. Admission is cheap at 300 yen per person, and no reservations are required. The statue is commonly known as the Kamakura Daibutsu, this great sacred Buddha of Kamakura. Is a copper image of the Buddha, and the fact that it sits in the open air makes it unusual among large Buddha statues in Japan. Although the size falls short of the great Buddha of Todaiji Temple in Nara, it essentially remains in its original form. Construction of this Buddha began in 1252. And it's believed that the priest Joko gathered donations from the people to build it. However, it remains unclear about the specifics of the great Buddha's construction, and the artist has yet to be identified. When it was first built, the Buddha was enshrined in a hall, but ancient records tell us that the building was damaged and ultimately destroyed in typhoons hitting in 1334 and 1369. And subsequently in a severe earthquake in 1498. Since then, because it sits out in the open, the statue itself has been ravaged by the elements. From the Big Buddha, we head to Hasadera Temple, founded in 736 AD and is one of the oldest temples in Kamakura. In 712 AD, two monks apparently sculpted two canons, which is the official name for the Buddha, statues out of a sacred camphor tree. And one of the statues was thrown into the ocean with prayers and whatnot accompanying that ceremony, hoping that it would find its karmic connection. 15 years later, it resurfaced at the Nagai beach, and that was the beginning then of the Hasadera Temple. It is commonly called the 11-headed cannon since it has 11 heads on the top of its own head. It measures over 9 meters tall and makes it one of the largest wooden Buddha statues in Japan. The admission is really inexpensive at 400 yen, and the grounds seem really beautiful, so I think we'd enjoy walking around. From here, we head due east to this next spot, which is the Kamakura Sunshodo shop, which is a famous carving shop of household wooden items. The reddish bento box that's on our mantle could easily just be displayed in this shop, and I hope that I'll be able to show them pictures of that box and show them how it's got a little bit of repair that needs to be done to see if I might be able to do that repair myself. Probably not, but it would be fun to go there to see this traditional Kamakura style of carving. From there, I think we bike down to the shoreline and have lunch at a soba noodle shop called Moon and Pine Trees. It's a really nice looking place in a building that's 100 years old. If the weather is nice, we could maybe walk down to the beach after lunch and just hang out and see what that's like. Following lunch, we begin our northward journey towards back towards the hotel, but visiting several sites along the way. Yakumo Shrine was established in 1083, and it's believed to be the oldest talismanic shrine in Kamakura. Sometime between 1081 and 1083, a person named Yoshimitsu was coming through Kamakura on his way to a neighboring province, and at that time there was an epidemic underway, so he was praying to a shrine in Gion for the cure of all these people. And that is said to be the beginnings of this particular shrine, which has been known as the shrine to drive away bad luck. From here we go to the Chokozan Myohan, I think that's how it is, temple. And it's set in a really nice park-like setting. It was founded in 1260, and I think we would just like to spend some time walking around the grounds because the next several locations are in more urban settings. The first of those urban temples is the Honkaigu-ji Temple, founded in 1436. And it's in an area that's known as the Shogunate's Back Demon Gate. I've read that there are different entrances into the Kamakura area that were used by the shogunate, so this is one of those places. From here we go to the Tsurugaoka Hashimangu Temple. This has a lot of the tourist stuff closed on Monday, so we'll just have to see how that fits into our plan. But it dates back to the year 1180 and is tied to the samurais and the military government. There are a lot of important festivals that are held here that date back to its origins, that include the Yabusami ritual, which is where Shinto warriors gallop on horseback, shooting their arrows at targets that foretell the year's fortune. There is a a prayer festival held on November 15th. So that's right around the time we'll be here. So we might hit that festival. After this, I think we head back to the hotel, freshen up, and then get dinner somewhere before we head to Tokyo the next day. The trip is winding up. We leave Kyoto Station on a Shinkansen bound for Tokyo Station. I've not yet found a hotel to stay at this final night, though there are so many choices available. There are some final places to visit too, including the Imperial Palace and the Akihabara Electric Town. If we can, I'd like to experience the Udatsu sushi, but we'll just have to see if we can afford it or even make it over to that location.